Well, hello everybody and welcome to Moon Moth. Welcome to Papillon. Now, this area here, if you remember in the last video, I told you about it being, there was a portal on this side and it had been disrupted by trees. Well, what I'm going to do is, because of all the tree collapse from the storm, I'm going to try and fly my drone through there so you can see if we can get any patterning to what it was. So you can get an idea by looking at the trees behind me here just how big these trees are. These are not little sticks. And we did have a massive big X in here. I'll see if I can put that in some of the screenshots pre-storm. So the storm was a year ago and it has completely trashed this place now. So we'll see how it looks and see if we can point out some different shapes. And they were very clear before, but whether we'll be able to see them underneath all of these trees that are now collapsed because of the storm, I don't know. So we'll find out, and I'll send the drone off and I'll be standing at this point, so I will try and talk us through what we're actually seeing, see if we can see anything. This is the drone. I'll try and show you that here. This is the drone, and we have 4 rotors on each there. You can see the camera in the front. This is the camera and it's on a gimbal, so if I can bring that closer you can see that moves at will. Now that has got a ND filter on it. Just sometimes it can be, if you get a bit of sunlight like we're getting now, and then there's very dark things, it can just help compensate. So that's what it really is. That's the battery on the top, and then we have sensors that go to the left and the right, so it hopefully doesn't bump into things. That's usually pilot error, but not in this case. Never! Possibly. Okay, so I'm going to set that up and we'll see if we can get a visual on that flying. So I hope you can see that from here. I'm going to send it off very slowly and carefully. And raise it up a little bit. I think you probably want to go a little bit higher. Everything I do here will have to be slow because of the trees. The trees can affect, you can get uprushes of air. I think you can just see it at the top of the screen there. You can get uprushes of air, and that can affect the steadiness of the camera. What we're going to do is just turn it round. You can start to see some of the some of the damage, can't you? Look at that. That's around about a 20 foot up. I think our altitude is, sorry, I lie, it's 18 feet. That's our altitude. So let's see what's on the ground. So I'm going to turn the camera down now. These are not little sticks. These are full-size trees. What I'm hoping to be able to show you is that there was, underneath all the debris that has fallen, there was a uniform pattern laid out. And we have seen it before. So I'm going to just keep turning it round. See the tops of these trees here? We're about 40 feet off the ground now. Doesn't look it, but we are. So you're going to see yours truly come into view. There we are. That gives you, that's the full circle of where we're at. Now the big X that was there was collapsed by the fall of trees, and particularly the fall of trees that you're seeing in front of you now. That's where that big X was. This is the safest way to go in. I've tried walking through this even before the trees came down, and they were so difficult. They're proper ankle breakers, so I thought this is not a good idea. So I'll bring this slightly across. What I'm looking for is some kind of pattern. Now these were all done in twos, if you like. The laying of the pattern was in twos. So if you can look, you can see the body of water to your left, and then you'll see the sticks, or the, I'll say sticks, the trees are in twos, and that was the pattern formation that was on the ground. Unfortunately, I don't know whether, see the very mossy ones that we're looking at? They're just coming up on the right of the screen now. There we are, in the centre of the screen. Those mossy ones, they were the original patterning. See if we can just focus in on those. So there's three parallel on the right, three parallel, and then we have what looks like a set of tweezers on the left. And they were four, they all met on the left hand side in one big union together, and then splayed out like a set of giant dividing forks or tweezers, if you like. That was the shape. But they were doubled, there was four altogether, and you can see those four as they lie. I'm just going to go up even higher. Got to be a little bit careful because we're going to be hitting the crosswind soon. It's holding steady. So you can see on the bottom right hand side of the screen, that's the orange landing zone. So it's having a bit of difficulty holding steady. Bring it down a bit, it's just too windy up there. It's actually a really, really windy day. You wouldn't know it from where we are. Now there was a lot more damage across on this side. You can see the fresh sticks, the ones that are fresh, I call them sticks, they look like sticks on here, but they're huge trees on this side. And you can see just underneath them, the mossy green. Well, underneath there was some, it was more clear to see the patterning. It's very, very difficult now to find out if there's any of that left. This is just giving you an overview. Even though the wind has brought these trees down, it still looks like a cage. The patterning looks like a cage. Now you see from this side, if I come across this way just a little bit, and if we look down here below us, where the water is, right in the middle, that's a very interesting shape, that water, don't you think? See how that patterning is now? You see the shape of these limbs. I mean, you might say that's perfectly natural, that's how they land. What I'll do is I'll put an overlay on there and we'll see how natural it looks in comparison to these ones over here, the ones with the green on the right hand side of the screen. There is a uniformity there, isn't it? It's like a grid. There is a form of grid there. There definitely is a form of grid. We're being mega careful because I do not want to lose a drone in all of that. So just managed to find a window where there was no rain, and it's just starting to rain now. There we go. So if I come down a little bit, I don't know if you can pick us up where we are on the screen here. I'll probably have to move across so that I can watch what I'm doing, but that's far enough. I don't like flying this in rain really because it can do damage. Like a cage, isn't it, the way those trees have fallen? But this is exactly where the big X was. And I'll superimpose that image, and that was all that stood there, but that has gone now. What I will do is try and run us across to the other side before the rain becomes too bad. So See if that gives you a better sort of viewpoint of this 4 points. Okay, there we go. It gives you an overview. That gives you an idea of the area. So, as you can see, it's quite interesting the way these trees have caused disruption. Now, this was a massive area. I'm going to try and put a gauge as to how big those trees were. And as I say, they were a portal. That's what they described to me as being where the portal was. So in a direct line that way is the other portal. But they told me there was a portal. So that was a way in. And I think this was an exit portal. But I think this had a lot more going on with it. This, I think, might have been where all energy was centered, because it was huge. It was a really huge area. Right the way across there. That is about a foot taller than I am. I'm 5'8", that's about 6.5 foot above ground. It's actually, I would say, a foot diameter. So you get to see roughly how big these trees are. And all of this nonsense, I call it nonsense, but you see up here how this is all just cluttered. All of that was very uniform. There was one big X up there. But now we're getting this star shape, and I think this is just purely coincidence, because I think it's just the way the trees fell in the storm. So now that I've finished filming with the drone, the sun's come out. And blue skies here. Typical. The bird life here is absolutely phenomenal. I wonder if you can hear it. This is really pretty, the way the light shines through. It makes it so special when we can see the sunlight just glimpsing, just at the tops of the trees there, glimpsing through, catching this old man's beard, which will all be now very, very super slimy. So the video that I took from the drone, analysing it, and what I'm curious to know is, that is an 8K camera. So 8K, it should be absolutely superb quality. There should be no blurring at all. And what I'm curious to see is if we find any blurring on that. And I'll be quite surprised if we do. Start to get how uneven the ground is when you see the shadows like this. If I can show you. Can you see just how uneven the lie of the ground is there? And it's like that all over. Clumps and lumps and bumps. Actually, when it's rained like this, the colour vibrancy is beautiful. It really is. So I'll pick up my stuff and we'll head down here. It's amazing. It's this time of year when we get long shadows, and I think I need to hold the camera up higher, like that. Isn't that lovely? I think we need to look very careful when we get light provided like this, because I think it holds secrets if we're prepared to look. Secrets to us, but really it's for all to see if you know where to look and what to look for. And I think that's what we're learning. Secrets. So we see all of this stuff here in this forest, like this, bends and things, but I can go elsewhere, not so far, within this forest, and there'll be whole areas where there's absolutely nothing at all. No bends, nothing. That's also something that fascinates me. Isn't that light beautiful? The tilt of the earth at this time of year is just stunning. We just take it for granted. So I'm heading down to the gifting site. So if you look straight ahead of you, straight in the middle of the screen there, in a direct line, probably about half a mile, 3/4 of a mile, is where I've just had the drone up. Look at that. Wow. And whereas we saw in the portal that I showed you last week, and I was told quite categorically it was a portal, an entrance doorway, which directionally was over in that direction, not quite half a mile, and the other portal in that direction by a good half mile. One entrance in, smaller, that's what I showed you last week, but the area that we looked at in the drone, that is considerably larger, and the tree structures are massive in comparison. I love the way the light just falls on these trees. Sorry, I probably go on and on and on about it, but I think it's very special. So for those of you who might live in a city and don't get to walk in the forest so often, aren't you lucky? You don't get wet. You don't fall down the holes. But you've got to imagine the smell of pine, and it's wet pine now. So imagine the smell of pine. The bird song, you can hear the bird song. And the rarity, and I say this because it is a rarity in this country, blue sky. Anything connected with blue sky is a rarity. This time of year, until we start to get the frosts. Once we start to get the frosts, that'll be a different matter. Should be some nicer weather. Oh, so this is the gifting area. in front of me. And already, I'll just pick them up as we go along. We have a bag. Oh, that was the bag that I just popped a little bit of cake. It's the only bag I could find. Popped a little bit of brownie in. A monkey. Empty bag. Not an ounce of fruit. Not an ounce. That was apples, pears. Not an ounce of fruit left. Do like to see that. Absolutely nothing left on the stump. So the peanut butter has gone. As has the tin of sardines. They have managed to walk off. I think it was mackerel actually, it wasn't sardines. They have managed to walk off all by themselves without any assistance. Completely empty stump. We'll just have a little shufti. Shufti, military expression. Anybody who has served in Arab territories will know what shufti means. A bit look around, a bit see. Shufti. I don't see any empty jars, I don't see any empty tins in this little area. So I have some lovely apples here. Really nice apples. And almonds, Brazil nuts, no, hazelnuts and Brazil nuts, I mix them together, walnuts, apricots, 4 chocolate biscuits, all this incense stuff. Now trying something different. This is a different type of peanut butter. I don't know if it's any better or whatever it is. It's called, try not to burn my hand on that, it's called Whole Earth. And this is glass. This is a glass jar. So I have loosened the lid because it was incredibly tight, but we'll see how they go with it. We have done it before. I have taken on 2 occasions before, brought glass jars, and they have both disappeared totally, as do the plastic ones. So I do not see a little squirrel thinking, oh yes, I'm going to carry this. This is quite a weight. So bear in mind it's glass. Don't know if you're able to read that on there, but that's 454 grams. I think that's a pound. I don't know. So I can't see a squirrel tucking it under its arm and bouncing off. You're going to have hands to pick that up. They can undo that, like that. So we'll see how they go with that. And stand back, stand back. Wait for the bell. Wait for the toll of the bell. Just be careful. Maybe best step back, because your ears will just ring for days when you hear this. It'll like be like AC/DC on steroids. So we'll just have a little shufti, as they say, and just see if there's any remnants of the tin or the glass, no, the plastic jar it was, the plastic peanut butter jar. So I do consider you guys to be a part of this channel, because without you, without your contribution, without your ideas and your thoughts, none of it works. It's not going to work without you. we're a team, and you all have some really good ideas, and I'm pretty prepared to roll with them, because I'm learning off you. I am definitely learning off you. I am learning off the people. And if we can all, I don't know, throw our lot together, hopefully we'll come out with something, have a better understanding. So regarding this forest, there has been lots and lots of operations. They haven't touched this little area. When I say they, I mean the powers that be, the Forestry Commission, the experts. Don't know what they're experts in, but best not go down that route. They haven't touched this. I don't think they need to. There's not a great deal of damage. So I plan to have a look at the old moon moth area, see if they've been up to anything in there. I don't think the people use it anymore, because, well, it's completely trashed. The storm did trash it. It really did. So we'll just have to go with the flow on that and see what we see. But I suspect that all of the entranceways, what they've been doing is shoring the roads up so that the big log trucks can get down, and making a mighty big mess in the process, and we know how good at that they are. So we'll have a look in there and we'll see if there's anything there that can, well, that we can learn from. I mean, that's what it's all about. We're all here to learn. And like I said before, there are areas of this forest, and I'll try and point them out when we go down there next week. There are areas of this forest where they don't have any of this kind of stuff in. Not even little tiny things. This is about 18 inches off the ground here. Don't know about that. Well, it all looks to me like it's got purpose, because why have we got another one there? Let me zoom in on that. This thing in the middle here. Sorry, that was a fast zoom, wasn't it? It's getting carried away. And that. So you've got that, this. We've got this stripped bark here, but not very big. Little pointless lena in here. Let me just zoom in on there. See this stick here? Pointless lena, in my humble opinion. And then curly whirly here. It would suggest that when that grew there was something in the middle that made it twist, or was it encouraged to twist at a young age? And then maybe just purely coincidence that we have that huge Y stick over there. That I think is coincidence. But if I was to wander in a direct diagonal line behind this Y stick, you know where I'm going to bring you out, don't you? You're going to get a whole point. I'm going to award you a point if you get this. Yeah. The portal from last week. It's all within a stone's throw of that. So this is where I really believe there is a lot more going on. So on that note, I shall say to everybody, thank you for watching. I hope it's been of some use to you. And like I say, without your contribution, nothing is possible. We can only pool our information and hopefully be able to come out with, well, with a framework that we can reference and have. If we don't know the exact meaning of things and understanding, at least we can point to it and say, right, aha. And I do believe that some of this only, so we've come back to where the gifting area is, I'll just point that out. Some of this is only really viable within the Northern Hemisphere, America and the UK, say, Canada, and I think it's a different ball game in the Southern Hemisphere. I'm not sure that they know about Futhark, because it seems to be a Norse thing. Now, do you know any animals that would be doing this? Do you know, can you think of any animals that create that kind of thing? Just curious. Alright folks, let's head away and we'll see you next week. Thank you for watching and bye now. Bye!